It's hard to believe that a year has passed since I released the first video in the Union Project. This was a project I never thought would start, as I couldn't find N-scale GO Transit or Via Rail equipment. However, one lucky afternoon in May, everything changed. I stumbled on an estate sale and acquired 26 GO Transit engines and bi-level cars. And with that, the project began. So let's look at what has happened in the past year and discuss what might be coming up. Let's get started. 2 months after obtaining my rolling stock, I finally developed a track plan I was satisfied with. Version 1 would span an 18-foot long wall, featuring a double main line, hidden staging, compressed passenger platforms at Union Station, and some iconic geographic elements such as the Bathurst Street Bridge and the Bathurst Flyunder. I didn't waste any time and began constructing benchwork. I designed the frame in 2 sections to allow for future disassembly. Due to the skyrocketing lumber prices in the pandemic, I opted for half-inch builder-grade plywood. I constructed a sturdy framework, pre-drilled the wiring holes, and added adjustable and temporary legs. Then I laid down the sheeting for the hidden staging yard, measured the track placement, and made my first cuts. Moving on to the upper deck, I connected the upper and lower levels with a 4% grade, once the track plan had been roughly laid out. However, these grades eventually were changed for better running. I removed the upper deck and began installing cork roadbed. While I was considering the hidden staging yard and its lack of visibility, I devised an idea to install infrared detectors with Arduino controllers to monitor train movements. Surprisingly, programming Arduino turned out to be straightforward, and this eventually created a basic system that used solid or flashing LEDs to indicate the location of my trains. This project gave me the confidence to explore Arduino-controlled switches, so I tried another first: hand-laid turnouts. Using a Fastrax jig and online tutorials as my guide, I started constructing turnouts. This involved using various fixtures and tools to shape the rails and assemble the components. Things progressed well, and I constructed over 20 turnouts. I then turned my attention to turnout control and indicator lights. I used triple pole, double throw stomp switches and Arduino controllers to control the servos. I designed 3D printed servo brackets with built-in fulcrum points for the actuator arms. And I quickly learned I couldn't control the servos with Arduino power sources alone, so I needed to retrofit them with auxiliary power sources. After some experimentation, I finally achieved a staging yard that operated flawlessly and indicated train movements accurately. Just as I was about to start working on the first half of the upper deck, my plans took an unexpected turn and I decided to change my track plan. I took advantage of an 8-foot wall section and reworked the track layout to include a familiar location: Aldershot Terminal and its passenger platforms. This change reduced one of the grades from 4% to 2% and provided a new train destination. Comparing the 4% grade at the Bathurst Flyunder to the new 2% grade at Aldershot, I started adjusting the Flyunder, reworking the benchwork, and routering new clearances into the upper deck until I achieved a 3% grade. I also spent some time tearing out parts of the original track, as some of the curves had become too tight, which visually looked poor and impacted operation. After replacing all those tracks, I could finally celebrate by running trains for the first time in 6 months, just in time for the holidays. As the new year began, I had the opportunity to host my local train club for an open house. I set an aggressive schedule to complete all of the track work for the event and to try to meet this deadline. I installed the upper deck and completed all of the mainline track in time. However, during this process I discovered more issues with my planning, as I had created areas where it was nearly impossible to install switch machines, which led me to surface mount servos as an alternate. With only minor work remaining to complete the track, I started designing mock-ups for Toronto's Union Station using Google Earth and Google Maps for reference. I focused on designing and 3D printing the passenger shed's iconic steel lattice support beams. Additionally, I created mock-ups of bridges and other landmarks to understand the size and scale better, and I quickly realized that buildings can be massive. In the process, I installed some access holes for hidden turnouts and had the unfortunate mishap when I accidentally drilled right through one of the turnouts. As I realized the size of some of the buildings on the layout, I began to doubt my scratch building abilities. Desperate for a solution, I came across a video by Steve's Trains that inspired me to purchase a laser cutter. After several failed attempts, I finally developed a workflow using the laser cutter as a scoring tool for styrene. This allowed me to etch surface details and create deeper lines to break apart the pieces like a kit. As a test, I modeled one of the small maintenance buildings in the Bathurst yard and created a realistic little structure. I could now use this process to create much larger structures. With my concerns about building a city addressed, I shifted my attention upwards and started exploring the elevated streets over Bathurst Yard. That project took another unexpected turn when I discovered Cato's MyTram models, which inspired me to incorporate a streetcar line between Bathurst and Spadina bridges. I added an elevated baseboard and used a combination of laser cut and various wooden pieces from the dollar store to fashion bridge supports. I installed dummy tracks, paved the roads with plaster, and spent considerable time fine-tuning the track until I had a fully operational streetcar line. I also experimented with different painting techniques until I achieved the desired cracked and dirty road appearance. To complete the project, I finished the bridges, painted and ballasted the tracks, added some graffiti, streetlights, and finally some railings. And now here we are in the present day, and I'm excited for the future. First on the list is building Union Station. I've been eagerly waiting for over a year to add the platforms and showcase this iconic building on the layout. However, some recent rail fanning trips to Mimico have me reconsidering Aldershot Station. I'm seriously contemplating changing that part of the layout from a single passenger platform to Via Rail's bustling maintenance yard. Lastly, I'm toying the idea with hosting a regular live stream. Over the past year, I've spent countless hours working on the layout and enjoying the company of other streamers. I believe spending more time interacting with this amazing community while I'm ballasting tracks or building skyscrapers would be fantastic. So there you have it, the 1-year anniversary of the Union Project. I can't quite decide if I've accomplished much or if I could have done more. Nevertheless, this project has been an immense learning opportunity, and I'm grateful to everyone who has joined me on this channel and supported this project. As always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.